Hello and welcome to the news at 10 on NTN News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Nolene Ebel Ame. Let's take the headlines. President Tinubu promises review of the telecom sector's regulatory framework to reflect global best practices. Nigeria signs agreement with Saudi Arabia to boost $7.7 trillion halal economy. Environmentalists advocate climate-smart agriculture to address conflicts in rural farming communities. Federal government set to regularize electricity tariff across bands. And here is the news. President Bola Tinubu has assured Nigerians that the telecoms sector's regulatory framework and operations will be reviewed to reflect global best practices with a greater focus on protecting infrastructure. President Tinubu spoke at a meeting with an Airtel delegation led by its chairman Sunil Bharti Mittal at the State House. The president, while recalling his discussion with the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, who visited Nigeria earlier, commended the openness, readiness and confidence of Airtel. He said the entire ecosystem will be further examined, and if there is anything Nigeria can learn and copy from India, his government is ready to do so. The president noted that the tax reforms will create a more favorable climate for investors. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, pointed out that the president for the protection of fiber, optic and undersea cables as critical national assets would further stimulate growth in the industry, assuring them that the Office of the National Security Advisor, NSA, has started implementing and enforcing the law. The minister and the chairman of Airtel briefed State House correspondents after their meeting with the president.
Continue to invest in that sector. That's what we'd like to see. We want to see a situation where at the minute telecommunication services is available to up to 92% of our people. This government would like to ensure that we take that to nearly 100%, at least 98% if not 100%. And for that to happen, government recognize that the private sector is a major part of that journey. And that's why we're happy to have Airtel with us.
And we made a commitment to continue our work and put up more investments in fulfilling the dreams that he has for this country, both in the digital connectivity space, but importantly also in the financial inclusion space, where we have started to take some early steps by way of our payment bank license, which we have here.
In another development, the Nigerian government has signed a cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia's Halal Products Development Company to establish Nigeria as a leading player in the global halal market, valued at $7.7 trillion. The agreement will facilitate investments, technical cooperation, and market access across key sectors, including food production, pharmaceuticals, finance, and livestock for both countries. Vice President Kashim Shettima, during the signing ceremony at the Makkah Halal Forum in Saudi Arabia, pointed out that the partnership represents a game-changing opportunity to transform Nigeria into a global halal economy powerhouse. Represented by Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, The collaboration is an important step in the ambition to not only tap into the lucrative halal market, but to establish Nigeria as a leading global player. The agreement will be executed by HPDC, a subsidiary of the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Vice President Shettima had, during the Halal Economy Stakeholders Engagement Program held at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa Abuja in September last year, emphasized the economic potential of the sector, noting that increasing Nigeria's halal exports to OIC markets from 2% to 6% could boost the country's GDP by $540 million, while strategic import substitution could add nearly $1 billion by 2027. The quest to reform tax administration in Nigeria is gaining traction as more groups make contributions on the 4 tax reform bills before the House Committee on Finance. The Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee assures Nigerians that proposals in the tax bills will boost the revenue profile of government at all levels. National Assembly correspondent brings us highlights of the public hearing.
It's day 2 of the public hearing on the tax reform bills, and as expected, the provisions generate public interest and debate, especially for those who want tax exemption for businesses operating in free trade zones to be sustained.
The current bill is not free trade zone. So what it means is that it will be retroactive when you apply the effect of that Section 142. So this is dangerous. It's going to create unnecessary litigations.
You can set to the tune of 25% in custom area without any taxes. But anything you sell beyond that 25, you will be subjected as if you produce it within custom area. The only tools, and I repeat, to validate whether you sell outside or not, is to ask all of you to go and bring your remittance from CPN. You will see that all of them will run.
Other concerns border on separation of powers in the board of the proposed Nigeria Revenue Service and clarification on tax for personal and family income.
This provision is not new, number one. Number two, is not in any way introducing inheritance tax. And by the way, this is the income of the state, not the federal government. Why would we want to do that?
The Chief Executive Officer of the proposed Nigeria Revenue Service, being not only the Chief Executive, but also the Chairman of the Governing Board, we recommend that these 2 roles should be separated.
We seek clarification that there's no total clarity on the position on taxation of non-resident companies.
As the public hearing continues, Nigerians expect that the review of the tax reform bills will plug loopholes in tax administration in the country. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Elsewhere, the former Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, has insisted that his removal from office did not follow due process, while also claiming that until that is done, he remains the Speaker of the Lagos State Assembly. The former Speaker stated this on his arrival at the House of Assembly complex in Lagos. Musa Toliat has the details.
The heavy presence of security agents in and around the Lagos House of Assembly complex created an air of uncertainty. Soon, the former Speaker Mudashiru Obasa drove into the legislative complex as lawmakers watched from distance. Having gone round and gained entry into the Speaker's office, Obasa decided to field questions from journalists on his presence at the House of Assembly and issues surrounding his removal.
Have you been reinstated? Are you back now?
I've told you repeatedly, I've never been removed. There's nothing like impeachment. So I don't know what you are saying. I've said this openly.
Sir.
That everybody, remove, what is it called? Impeachment or whatever, or removing is not democratic and constitutional. But in doing that, to achieve that, you must follow the due process.
Thereafter, the lawmakers expressed their displeasure with the heavy presence of police personnel and harassment experienced before coming into the Legislative House.
This is Lagos. This is the center of excellence. This is where everything starts and it stops. We've been law-abiding. We've not gone out of our way. So I'm appealing to the leadership of our party that we cannot continue this way.
Loyalists and supporters of the former speaker came in their numbers, chanting solidarity songs at the gate leading to the assembly. Former Speaker Mudashiru Obasa is resuming to the House of Assembly for the 6 days after he was removed and replaced with Ojisola Miranda. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
Former Nigerian permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Tijani Bande, along with environmentalists and farmers, are advocating the adoption of climate-smart agriculture as a means to address conflicts in rural farming communities. This was underscored during a national dialogue on peace and smart agriculture held in Abuja. Musa Babaliu reports.
The National Dialogue on Peace and Climate-Smart Agriculture has underscored the pressing need to address the challenges faced by farming communities affected by drought, desertification, and flooding. These environmental issues have displaced millions, leading to migration and intensified competition for arable land, which often results in conflicts among communities.
Now, this thing we are doing is to marry the conflict-restricted things that come up as a result of climate change. We know that climate change has made water non-accessible to the livestock farmers. It has made grass or food for them less available. It has made the changing of the climate.
The dialogue, spearheaded by the Women Farmers Advocate Network in partnership with the United Nations Positive Livelihood Award Center, aimed to highlight these issues and seek collaborative solutions.
Admonitions may not help. Focus group discussions can help. Admonitions may not help. Key performance indicators can help. Admonitions may not help, but friendly and cordial relationship will help us to solve this problem.
Former Nigerian permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Tijani Mohamed Bande, emphasized the significance of understanding local context, empowering communities, and promoting interreligious dialogue as essential strategies for building lasting peace in rural areas.
This issue of abusing everyone else who has a different view from you has not taken us anywhere, and it has not been like this all the time. We have made progress. We have seen moments of regression. Let us ensure that from now on, we implement what is helpful for Nigeria, for the continent.
In addition to this discussion, traditional rulers and media representatives advocated for ongoing dialogue and understanding among various communities to foster progress and national unity. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Experts at the Nigeria International Energy Summit want efficiency in utilizing derivatives from downstream products to minimize associated risk. Lydia Sampson reports on a panel discussion seeking proactive solutions to issues in the energy sector.
The downstream sector of the oil and gas industry is the closest to the people because we buy fuel every day, we use a lot of energy every day and often gotten from the downstream. And behind this closed door is a critical section on the downstream on how to navigate the complexity of the downstream sector for greater profitability. Here, the panel comprising regulators and downstream operators are talking point blank.
We are currently experiencing stability within the industry. This stability offers investment certainty and enables the unlocking of opportunities with every naira invested. To strengthen the evolving liberalized markets, NMDPRA continues to offer regulatory clarity.
With the new opportunities that we have by the PIA, we are now competitive and we are striving to ensure affordability and availability.
I think CNG, and I think it was already mentioned, is an excellent fuel to actually to power trucks. It's a cheaper way to transport fuel and many other products across the country.
It means that we really have to start to think about how we invest for the future, how we make sure that the industry is sustainable in the future.
They analyzed how fluctuations in oil prices can affect household budgets and business operations, forcing difficult financial decisions. Additionally, they agreed that downstream operations also produce essential products like plastics, fertilizer, and pharmaceuticals, making them indispensable for modern living and economic stability. It is the 8th edition of the Nigeria International Oil and Gas Conference, and from all the activities behind me, you can see and agree that it is not only well attended, but experts from all over the world are converged here, and their purpose, navigating the complexity of the oil and gas industry for greater impact and ensuring energy security for Nigeria and Africans at large. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Very well, Lydia. This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We have more stories for you when we return from this break.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their social economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Thank you for staying with us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Chief Mrs. Adenike Agbaje Williams, Africa's first face on television, has passed away on Wednesday, 26th February 2025, aged 88. She passed on peacefully in Ibadan, where she has lived for most of her life. Chief Mrs. Adenike Agbaje Williams Ni Koforiji was born on 23rd October 1936. She was a well-known name in the media world. She made history by being the first face to appear on the first television station in the whole of Africa, on the Western Nigerian Television WNTV station located at Agodi, Ibadan, both on the test transmission night and on the official opening night, Saturday night, October 31, 1959. Hers was also the first voice to be heard on Africa's first commercial radio station, WNBS. She was therefore proclaimed double first. She had a glorious career and rose through the ranks until she retired in July 1986 as a well-respected producer and director of programs. Now joining us live from Ibadan to speak more on the death of Chief Mrs. Adenike Agbaje Williams is our NTA reporter, Grace Ayanlake. Grace, good morning to you.
Good morning. Right here at the Idishi Jericho residence of late Chief Mrs. Adenike Agbaje Williams, Africa's first lady of the tube. The family members are still grappling with the reality of her demise. I have here with me the grandson, Soji Alabi, to tell us about the legacy of Chief Mrs. Adenike Agbaje Williams and how the family is coping at this time of her demise. So what can you say about the life and times of Chief Mrs. Adenike Agbaje Williams? What kind of life did she live?
Well, she lived a very vibrant life. She was an inspiration to many. Her family is mourning the loss. You know, it happened 2 days ago, I think, or yes, and it's a shocker to us. But we are thankful because, you know, she lived an impactful life, and a lot of people were inspired by, you know, who she was and what she did. And, you know, we're thankful to God because we know she has gone to be with him. So it's not a loss to us. It's a loss, but it's not a loss. You know, it's also, heaven has gained an angel. So we're very thankful for everything that she did for us and for the family and for the country too, and Africa at whole, you know.
Yes, she's the first face on television. How is the family hoping to keep this legacy alive?
Well, you know, she, like I said, she has done a lot. Being the first face of on TV in Africa. She started from WNBS before it turned to NTA, and then she rose to BCOS, becoming the director of programs. As for now, we have many plans, but I feel like we have to first deal with the funeral arrangements. But I feel they would, you know, the family would have to have a meeting, and, you know, obviously they would like to do things like scholarships, things like you know, community empowerment, and I feel like it takes time. You know, we know the state of the country, but I feel like things will be done to keep our legacy alive and, you know, help others to also reach that kind of status and level in life. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Soji Alabi. So, here in Ibadan, the mood is quite quiet because late Chief Mrs. Adenike Agbaje Williams lived a quiet life in her later life. So the mood is relatively quiet at this time, and everyone is mourning the loss of these giants.
Yes, Grace, at a time like this, of course, the mood will be a quiet one. Now, what kind of response has there been from the public, other media professionals or institutions since her death? How is her memory being honored in the media and by her peers?
Yes, part of why we are here at the moment, because knowing that she was the first face of the first television in Africa, and NTA being the first television in Africa, we are here to commiserate with the family and other media personnel and professionals, we believe will follow suit in eulogizing, in keeping the memory of these great women who has walked this broadcast path so that the rest of us can fly in the broadcast and media industry.
All right, thank you very much, Grace, for your contribution from Adenike Williams residence. Thank you. All is now set for the 2025 FCT Baptist Conference as the annual religious engagement continues to fulfill its essence of gathering believers for intercession that centers on promoting national unity and personal supplications. At the media meeting at the First Baptist Church Garki, Abuja, President of the conference, Reverend Dr. Gwana Dogara Raphael, wants government at all levels to ensure that policies are impacting directly on citizens. Oluseyi Adeagbo has details.
It is the marking of a decade, and members of the FCT Baptist Conference, Nigerian Baptist Convention, are using it to acknowledge God's faithfulness in the body of Christ and affairs of the nation.
God will not cease praying for victory.
President of the conference, Reverend Dogara Raphael, who acknowledged the diverse plans and policies of government to mitigate challenging issues confronting the nation, asked that mechanism that will bring these programs to fruition and benefit of people be strengthened.
Our appeal to government is that Nigerians should be prioritized. It is high time for those in government to start thinking of the next generation and not just the next election. A transparent process in governance would go a long way to help Nigerians in coping with the current difficulties.
Themed When the Righteous Pray, the 10th annual session of the conference seeks to make the church pray to God for divine intervention and also educate participants on civic responsibilities and spiritual obligations to the country.
Every department of our conference will look into all the challenges mentioned above and several others and cry to God in prayer for divine intervention. It is our hope that by the time we are marking the 11th anniversary of our conference, our country will have become a better, safer, and richer place.
President of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, Reverend Israel Akonji, Bishop David Abioye, Apostle Michael Oropo, among other men of God to minister at the conference. In Abuja, Oluseyi Adeagbo, NTA News.
You are still watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Let's pause here for a second break. Stay with us.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Sunana Safiya Ismail, ni daga Gwagwalada Area Council a karkashin Giri. Ina da yara 7 da mijina. Sana'ana sadda itace. Akwai damuwoyi da yawa. Rashin kudi da musanta zaka ga itace zai kare ba kudi ne zaka siya wani an kira ni ayi Safiya Ismail nace yes come for your benefit at Angondo do Gwagwalada suka bani ATM din immediately na withdraw kudi na amma gaskiya kudin ya zo at the right time.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Nets Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
Thank you for being there. The month of Ramadan should spark the urge to strive in the cause of Allah and reach out to those in need among Islamic community. Former Minister of Communication and Digital Economy and Islamic scholar Isa Ali Pantami stated this while inaugurating a mosque in Wuye, Abuja. Ibrahim Bellogunda reports.
Islam is a religion that encourages giving and being each other's keeper. And as Ramadan fast approaches, believers are expected to feed as many needy as they can while engaging in acts that will draw them closer to Allah. That is exactly what Shuaibu Diabang did by building a befitting mosque in Chinyaka Street Wuye, so that his Muslim brothers can have a befitting place to supplicate during Ramadan. Professor Isa Ali Pantami has, while inaugurating the mosque, enjoined believers to strive and give back to Allah for more bounty and closeness to Him.
Where we inculcate and instill moral character in our congregations, it is a center of entrepreneurship among many others. So Masjid Islamically is not only restricted to 5 daily prayers. When our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam built his masjid in Medina, his masjid was his university. It was the center of the executive power. It was the center of the legislative power. It was the center of judiciary at his time. It was the center of strategy. It is the center of policy formulation during the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Professor Isa Ali Pantami thereafter led the Zuhur congregational prayer. The mosque will feature tafsir of the Holy Quran and 5 daily prayers. In Abuja, Ibrahim Bellogunda, NTA News.
Sports and education are interrelated as both help in shaping students' personality, contribute to their holistic development, as well as health and lifestyle. The chairman, Peseta Schools, Kenneth Imaswabong, stated this during the annual inter-house competition of the schools. Ibrahim Bellogunda again captured the thrilling moment.
Sporting activities are critical to the educational development of pupils and students, teaching them teamwork, discipline, commitment, leadership skills, and social development. The lighting of torch and march past parade by various houses signaled the commencement of the inter-house sporting competition.